Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I just wanted to, the last podcast I was recording, I don't know what happened. My phone went really funny. It started half screen flickering and it stopped recording when I was carrying on talking. So I just wanted to finish that bit off and add a few things to that last podcast. I think it's called What We Can Achieve. So at the end of it, it got broke off when I was saying that some people try and protect their system, the way that we live by, people on the street that blaming them and saying it's because they're drug addicts, because of, what they've done to themselves, it's their fault and it's not for us to have to help them and excuses like that. Whereas it shouldn't be about that. We should be seeing each other as human beings and, we should be caring. We can care for animals. We can care for a stray dog. If someone saw, someone got injured in a terrorist attack, they all run over to help them. So why do we need that kind of catalyst to do something good, to realise that we are actually all one, and that if we were all able to look after each other, then no one would suffer, would they? In the way that I'm trying to say. And then I was thinking about, well, wait a minute, how could shelter and food, how could it be free? Well, it's quite easy. There are things that are free in our life, isn't it? Air is free. The internet is free. Broadband isn't though, but the actual internet, as it were, is free. The NHS, medical care in some countries is free. I guess some people say, yeah, you pay that through council tax or whatever, but you're not actually really paying the price of those things. So yeah, you're paying a very small amount, let's put it that way. So there are ways of doing these things, that you could work around, so that maybe there is a way, and the things are, all these things that we're using are intrinsically here for free anyway. The bricks, the cement, the food, all this stuff is from the earth that we got for free, and now we're charging for the same things that we were given for free. It's all about consumerism and commercialism, and because our minds have been preset that way, school, taught, thought, whatever way you want to see it, so we'll always see things that way, but it doesn't have to be that way. But the problem is getting people to deconstruct their mind and stop seeing the way they've been taught is the most difficult thing in the world for anyone to do, including myself. But yeah, what I'm saying is there are ways that we could do things differently. As a society, if we care for each other, why shouldn't everyone have a house and food as standard? Like everyone has education. Well, in some countries they don't, obviously, but everything, all countries should have all of these things. We shouldn't have to pay for medicines, for food, for shelter, for education. What kind of a society are we that we charge for these things? And if God does exist, how is he going to look at this, to these people that are doing this? That he gave to us these things freely, and we're making a paltry price out of them. We're charging for the things that were given to us freely, whilst giving us free reign. There's so many religious people, and a lot of these religious people are involved in this as well. So how does that work out? Come on. I just don't understand. You'd think there's so many clues. If people actually do reflect, if people look at, even if they read their religious texts, they can see all these things. They can see the world is being bastardized. The rich are, and the powerful are controlling the meek. But no one will rise up. No one will challenge it. People will just stay in line. And of course, the other thing when I was thinking about that I mentioned before it got cut off was about the reason why, we've lived on this planet for hundreds, thousands of years in this system that we are at the moment, where people have to buy houses and buy food. I know previous to that there was bartering and other systems and, whatever there was, feudal systems. But why is it that it hasn't changed? Why is it we don't have free shelter and free food? And that's because the people that own all the properties. Now the royals, the rich, the famous, they all own all this land. You know, I know I think I mentioned this before, that the Queen and her family own, I think, more land than anyone else. And people think, no, it's not expensive. Well, yeah, you don't think about all these other things, but all these people that own all this land, they're keeping it to themselves. You know, you've got 300 people who've got most of the planet to themselves, or whatever the actual real number is. But you know what I'm trying to say. If we actually shared out the whole land, we would all be able to live in houses. We wouldn't have to build these concrete jungles that now is the solution that governments are coming up to for people living in them, which is disgusting. I mean, people better pray there isn't such a thing as God, because if me, a mere mortal, can see how bad, how, I was going to say evil, but I don't want to use that word, but you know, like how selfish and guilty people are of living parasitical over those people that do not have, people in this kind of life, this condition, this system, that anyone surely can see is not right. Even those with money and power, surely they can see that the majority of people are not living the same. Everyone should have a basic living standard. And across this place that we live upon, there isn't such a thing, even in rich countries. So what is he going to think? But the thing is, most of the people that are doing this are also religious and would claim to be religious and read the religious texts. Well, I don't understand then the cognitive dissonance that's coming in even from religious people. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's enough. That's basically what I said. I've added a little bit more to it, but those are the basic bits that got cut off. Anyway, take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.